So we're just taking a little walk into the bush here, show you a few things. I got my buddies with me. I got Max. Max, come on. My little kitty. Come on, kitty, 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 kitty. But it doesn't matter if I walk 3-4 miles with my dogs out in the woods, that cat will follow us. But what I'm trying to find out here for you is what's called true tinder fungus, or Chaga, or Chaga. It's a fungus that grows on a birch tree, has amazing medicinal qualities and amazing fire starting qualities. Come on, Max. Look at that. Just like a bobcat. That's my kitty kitty. Come on, Max, you big lump. So I'm in the middle of a birch forest here, and a lot of birch trees. And what we're looking for is a distinctive black spot. Okay, here is a birch fungus, but it's not the one you want. This looks like a sort of a steppe type fungus. And I believe it actually does make a tinder fungus, but it's not as good as the Chaga stuff. Come on, old buddy. Come on. Max, come on. Come on. Come on. Look at that thing go. Kitty, 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 kitty. Come on. And here's some right here. So that's Chaga. You can't miss, that's actually quite a very large piece. Probably about a 5-pound chunk of it. And so you can, if you look at it, it's got like a yellow inside and a very dark, it almost looks like it was burnt on the outside, is what it looks like. And there's nothing wrong with harvesting this, because when you see this on a birch tree, it's a death sentence for the birch tree. This here will eventually destroy this tree. And pretty mature birch here, right here. But so usually about a 5 to 6 year time frame, it'll kill this tree. So you're actually doing the tree a favor by getting rid of it. Well, you're not doing a favor, because no matter what you do, it's going to kill the tree. So I've already got some at home. I'm not going to harvest this piece. I'm just going to leave it here for now. And I'm going to show you some interesting properties about the stuff. It's pretty amazing stuff. Especially the health benefits far outweigh the benefits of fire starter, because then you can use a lot of different things for fire starter, but this here has some amazing medicinal qualities. Just look it up, Chaga, C-H-A-G-A, and it's just amazing stuff. There's another Chaga right there. Very distinctive black fungus that grows in it, and it kind of makes it deforms the tree quite a bit. It's not hard to miss. It's like a black fungus on a white tree, so it's pretty easy to spot. And there's just the odd piece around, where you find one, you'll find more. And sometimes you'll go into a birch forest, you won't see any at all. But I've got about 3 or 4 different trees I see around here that have small ones. That first one, that's the biggest one. That's a big piece. I see another one way off in the distance there. Come on, old buddy. Where's the kitty? Come on, kitty, 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 kitty. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Come on, kitty, kitty, kitty. Come on. Come on, kitty, 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 kitty. Oh, there he goes. Come on, kitty, kitty. The cat cracks me up, man. Oh, Mr. Frisky. Look at him go. Come on. So here's a little piece that I had kicking around. It's already dried. If you pick the stuff, you got to have it dry up for, 2 or 3 days. It'll actually burn a little bit damp, but to get the best properties out of it, you gotta let it sit around for 2 or 3 days, maybe even a little longer. It feels very dry, even though it's not sometimes. It's kind of like a dense sponge. It can seem light, and but still has some moisture. The highest quality of stuff is the very bright yellow part of it, which is deeper inside. It's sort of dark, and it gets into browns and into this yellowish stuff. It'll take a bow drill or fire drill very nicely. It almost drills a little too easy, so I would say if you were going to use this for fire drill, you'd want a larger diameter, at least at the part that made contact, because it kind of just drills a little too deep too fast, because it's quite porous. It's not like a softwood or something. And it smells beautiful. When you get it burning, it puts off a beautiful sort of an incense smell. I'm just going to show you some of the. I'm just going to break off a couple of pieces here. It's fairly tough stuff. I can knock a chunk off there, and like this is a good size for carrying around with some fire. I'm going to show you something really neat about the stuff. As soon as the flame licks it, okay, I got this part. Now watch, I'm just going to touch it. That's it. See how I touched that? You may think that didn't do a damn thing, but believe it or not, there's a tiny little spark growing there. I don't know if you can see the smoke beginning to grow. See that? See that little bitty spark right there? That'll just burn and burn and burn. See? It even looks like it's out. Like it'll always come back. Amazing. Amazing stuff. And just the greatest smell. It just has this beautiful smell. If I let that sit there, that'll just sit there and just smolder like that for probably take almost an hour to burn up this tiny little piece. It only weighs probably, I don't know, 10 grams or something. Barely that. Once it gets going a little bit here and it starts to spread, one interesting thing about it is very hard to put out. You know, like you'd think you could take a knife and just get rid of it. And what's crazy about it is everywhere I scrape it, if a little spark flies up and lands somewhere, it starts to burn. So you can just keep scraping it, keep trying to put it out, and it's really hard to put out. So there, I just scraped most of that off of there. Now watch. Comes right back. Crazy stuff. I think smothering it works. So if you put your hand on it, eventually you can suffocate it and it'll go out. Like I think I got it out there now just by squeezing on it. No. That's the thing about this stuff. It's nuts. It's like you think it's out, and there's even little spots where when I was scraping, the spark would hit. See that one right there, that little one? That's from a spark. Just the tiniest little spark. I think this is one of the most interesting things I've ever seen come from nature. And the other amazing property about it is when it's tiny little spark comes off, like when you're scraping it with a knife, they're really hot. When they hit your skin, they really burn. But yet you can put your hand right on it. Look, I've got that in my fist. I'm trying to squeeze the life out of that fire. I'm holding that in my fist as hard as I can squeeze. Now watch. Can you believe that? Like it's crazy. You think it's out, and it's not. I bet you could very easily just put this in your pocket, and the lack of oxygen in your pocket probably would control the burn and make it last a long time, and just you could carry it around. Like, there's no smoke coming off of this right now. For all intents and purposes, this looks like it's out. And there it is. All of a sudden it starts a little puff of smoke, and it's going. Wow. And one other amazing thing about chaga is the tea you can make from it. So either break off some pieces, put it in a coffee grinder, or get yourself one of these little shaver deals. So like a little grating tool. It's made for doing very fine shavings. And just grate off the yellow parts of the chaga. Enough for a cup or two of tea. And it's probably about a gram or two. Okay, so you're gonna get your chaga into your strainer. Just like any tea, you don't really want it into your actual tea beverage. And make sure the water is absolutely scalding, the hottest you can get this. In fact, if you could run this stuff through an espresso machine, it would be even better. And then just run it through, just like any tea. And I like to bring it up so that it sits in it for a little bit, like that. And just let it steep for a bit. Okay, so it's been steeping for about 5 minutes. I like to let it steep for a long time. It doesn't seem to release its oils as easily as regular tea leaves do. So I like to let it sit a while. And the funny thing about it is it's actually fairly tasteless. It kind of has a nice smell, but it almost has zero taste to it. On its own, it's almost just like drinking water. It's like drinking hot water. It's not really any flavor to it, even though there's a bit of aromatic flavors to it. But it's really good with just a little bit of maple sugar, or just regular brown sugar or something like that. It's pretty good in it. But it's very good for you. They've done trials on the stuff and proved that it actually did have an effect on cancer. This was a study that was done a long time ago in the 1960s and 70s, but they stopped the study because they determined that harvesting the stuff, it was so rare in the forest that they would never be able to produce enough of it for any sort of demand. So they kind of just shelved the studies of it, and but they did prove that it did have some effect on some cancer studies. Those are online. You can search for those and find them. But that's some of the amazing qualities of chaga. Check it out. It's pretty amazing stuff. It does a lot of crazy things. See ya.